Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is starting to break below this crucial area of support in the immediate short term, which means right now the price of Bitcoin is still repeating history, which is something that we need to pay attention to alongside Ethereum, which is now massively breaking towards the downside below this very important line of support here, while the price of XRP is running into the final significant level of support before potentially much lower targets. So in just a moment, I'll be discussing new price targets and trading opportunities, so definitely watch this video to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this time frame. So the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence, which has not yet been invalidated. So keep in mind, this is still affecting the price of Bitcoin on the much larger time frames over a long period of time. Of course, not a short-term signal, but if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, what has been more of a shorter-term signal just over the last few weeks has of course been this shorter term bullish divergence, the smaller bullish divergence on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart. But right now we're finally starting to see an invalidation signal flash for this bullish divergence. Now technically it's not yet confirmed, we still need to wait for this next 3-day candle close here, but at this point it is looking very likely that this bullish divergence is basically now over, because not only are we starting to see a potential breakdown here in the RSI below this ascending line of support, we're also potentially about to break below these previous lows in the price in the candle closes, which both of these signals here would be invalidation signals to invalidate this bullish divergence. But really, in order for this previous bullish divergence to continue to play out here, we ideally needed to hold above this previous area of resistance that we broke out over a week ago, which was at around 92 to 94,000. Obviously we started to break out here, but then due to the fact that we failed to hold that as support and we broke back to the downside below 92 to 94,000. Obviously, from that moment onwards, that's been a bearish signal for Bitcoin, confirming this is just a fake out rather than a proper breakout. And so obviously every day since we broke back below around 94,000, we've been seeing a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, which is to be expected because we failed a very important breakout and obviously broke back below that crucial area on the price chart. So right now, we're technically still in this previous sideways price range in between this support and this resistance. Once again, the resistance at around 92 to 94,000, and this support coming into play on the daily time frame at around 85 to 86,000. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously, as I've explained basically every day for around a week now on the channel, we have very similar price action, basically a price fractal compared to what we're seeing right now compared to what we saw around April 2022. As we can see right here, very similar price structure. We saw basically a large sideways consolidation chopping around it relatively sideways with relatively horizontal highs, horizontal resistance for a couple of months actually, with slightly higher lows. Then we started to see a breakout begin to confirm above that crucial level of resistance that was forming over a couple of months here. Basically back in 2022, it was between January all the way up until around March. We saw that strong level of resistance. This time around, it was between around November all the way up until January. And then once again, we started a breakout here on the daily Bitcoin price chart, held above the breakout line, the previous resistance, for roughly a week this time around. Last time it was a bit over a week, and then broke back to the downside below that crucial line. We failed to hold above that as support, therefore invalidating the breakout. And that was a strong bearish signal last time, basically pointing towards a lot more bearish price action to come over the coming weeks and months. And right now, this is just beginning. So keep that in mind. As always, just because this outcome happened last time, it doesn't guarantee we're going to see the exact same thing this time around. So of course, understand that. But overall, this is not good news for Bitcoin. Obviously, this type of price structure is very much bearish, as I've already been warning about every day for basically ever since we broke back below around 94,000. From that point onwards, we've simply been looking bearish. And this especially continues to be the case now that we're potentially starting to invalidate this bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame, which basically means we no longer have really any reason right now to be overly bullish on the price of Bitcoin. And instead, right now we still have all of these bearish factors on the larger time frames technically still playing out. So just keep that in mind. But of course, even if we're seeing bearish price action, there's still opportunity in the market to potentially short, for example, to profit along the way towards the downside, or just wait for some lower prices to accumulate cheaper crypto assets at lower prices on the spot market. Obviously, not financial advice, but there's just a few strategies out there to still profit and take advantage of bearish price action. And obviously, if you want to take any trades like that for the price of Bitcoin or any crypto, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this 2bits page right here over on the 2bits crypto exchange, which is an exchange that I personally use myself. And right now, 2bits actually just partnered with La Liga, so they're running a huge event right now over on 2bit of 800,000 USDT in prizes and a bunch of other merchandise and tickets to La Liga matches, etc. Basically, a bunch of free prizes, free money that you can claim using the link below the video, the first link below the video to 2bit, just by simply trading crypto. So especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. You might as well take advantage of this. Once again, first link below the video. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also personally use myself from time to time, then for that, check out the second link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, because if you use that second link, you can take advantage of some extra bonuses over here on Pinex. For example, if you simply just make your account using that link below the video, the second link below the video, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So obviously a bunch of free money from the exchange, basically, that you can claim using that second link below the video to Pinex. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out and take advantage of these major bonuses over here using that link below the video. But with that being said, taking another quick look at the price of Bitcoin, this time looking at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, looking at the immediate short term, we can see that right now, as of recording this video, after we just a couple of days ago, over the last couple of days, saw yet another fake out here in the short term above that line of resistance and then quickly breaking back towards the downside. Once again, this is another example of a bearish signal. Once we actually confirm the fake out, so basically confirming a break back below the resistance, back below the point of the breakout, that then becomes a bearish signal pointing towards more bearish price action if we fail to hold the line of resistance. And so once again, this is a perfect example in the short term, just over the last 1 to 2 days. But right now, we're starting to see it play out on the much larger timeframes, especially here in the daily time frame, playing out a much larger fake out that could potentially play out over at least a number of weeks, maybe even a number of months, based on what we saw last time once again. And if we're zooming again into the short term, right now, it is worth pointing out that we're possibly forming a new bullish divergence here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, because right now, as of recording the video, we're very much creating new lower lows, which technically still needs to be confirmed with this 6-hour candle close, while the RSI here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart is still currently forming higher lows. So once again, that's a possible bullish divergence forming right now, but I want to make this very clear right now that possible bullish divergence is not yet confirmed. We still need to see confirmation. So first of all, confirming this low in place in the candle closes, and then confirming the low right here in place in the RSI, the higher low in place in the RSI. And so that's just a possible signal to be aware of, to pay attention to in case it possibly confirms at some stage in the next 1 or 2 days or so. But overall, we're simply looking more bearish than bullish, especially ever since we broke back below 94K. That was really the signal to start flipping more bearish again. And right now, we've not really changed. But with that being said, if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, technically speaking, looking at the last 1 week worth of price action, we can still see that level of liquidity sitting at roughly 93,500, around 93.4K. So keep that in mind. That is still a level forming on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, but also keep in mind, as always, there's no such thing as a guarantee, and we have to consider all of this information together rather than just rely everything on one piece of information. And so, for example, if we're continuing to, for example, invalidate this bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame, if we start breaking below these lows especially, that'll be another significant price structure change towards the bearish direction, obviously, basically further breaking towards the downside, repeating history. If we're playing all this out, then of course, this level of liquidity towards the upside isn't all that relevant if we're starting to gather more bearish momentum, especially if we break below these lows at around 85k, give or take. That would be another significant bearish signal. So just keep that in mind. And in fact, if we're zooming out, looking at the last 1 month worth of price action here in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can start to see, first of all, a smaller area of liquidity, which we're pretty much hitting right now as of recording the video at around 85,500 to 86,500. But all the way down here, we also have a significant area of liquidity to watch out for at roughly around 72,000. Now, once again, I'm not saying the price is definitely going to go there. As always, no such thing as a guarantee, but that's just a level to keep in mind, something to pay attention to, especially if we continue to see a further drop here below these previous lows, basically repeating history, what we saw in 2022. If we start to see that play out in the coming days or weeks, then just keep in mind that 72k level could be a possible price target to pay attention to. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, in the shorter term, obviously we're continuing a shorter term bullish movement right now, but overall in terms of the current trend or the price structure, we're still currently looking relatively neutral, basically just bouncing around in a bit of a sideways price range between support and resistance. First of all, we have a decent amount of support at around 58.5% to 59%, and right now we're running into a possible point of resistance here at pretty much exactly 60%. But if the Bitcoin dominance breaks out past 60%, in that situation, we have a major area of resistance here sitting in between 60.5% to 61%. So keep that in mind. It's possible the Bitcoin dominance could start to struggle around that area on the price chart, which means overall, while the Bitcoin dominance is underneath around 61%, once again, we're looking somewhat neutral in terms of this larger structure. If we start to see a breakout above 61%, actually confirm, in that situation, that would be a significant bullish signal pointing towards more bullish price action for the Bitcoin dominance, which would be very bad news for the altcoin market. So just keep that in mind. This area of resistance is definitely something important to pay attention to for the Bitcoin dominance. But obviously not a lot has changed over the last 1 day for the Bitcoin dominance here. So without wasting your time, getting straight into the price of Ethereum here on the daily Ethereum price chart. And right now the price of ETH is simply continuing the breakdown and the rejection below this important Fibonacci level, which previously was acting as a bit of support over a week ago, around 2 weeks ago, and that was sitting at around $3,040 to $3,050. But right now, obviously over the last half a week to 1 week, we broke below that level with confirmation, and then we actually came back up for a retest and perfectly rejected from around $3,040 to $3,050, flipping previous support into new resistance, which is bearish price structure and further confirming the break towards the downside. And so ultimately, in terms of support to watch out for, we're pretty much running into an important level of support right now at around 2750 to 2.8k. But if we break below that area of support in that situation, the next major support is at close to 2.6k. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, obviously we're continuing the perfect rejection from this massive area of resistance here in between around 3.3k to 3.4k. And in fact, right now, as of recording this video, the price of ETH is finally starting to break below this important ascending line of support that has been holding up the price of ETH and supporting the price of ETH for a couple of months now, since basically mid-November, mid to late November onwards. We've been seeing multiple important and perfect bounces from this ascending line of support, as we could see. But obviously, as we can see right now, the price is well and truly breaking towards the downside. Technically, it still needs to be confirmed with this daily candle close, but at this stage, it is looking very likely we're about to confirm this break towards the downside. And obviously, we're already trading well below this ascending line of support. So at this situation, obviously, this is simply another bearish signal pointing towards more bearish price action. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 8-hour Ethereum price chart, we can see that right now the price is continuing the dump, obviously, after that short-term break, just a little bit of a relief from all of the bearish price action that we played out over the last few days, thanks to, of course, this oversold signal here in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI. First of all, we confirm this bearish divergence all the way back up here, pointing towards basically warning about some bearish price action, or at best choppy sideways price action. So basically a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, and obviously that played out very nicely here in the form of mostly a pullback. And then we hit oversold a few days ago, around half a week ago, here in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI, obviously, which basically points towards a little bit of a relief, just a slight break from all of the bearish price action, which did play out in the form of mostly choppy sideways price action, obviously. But then that reset the RSI out of oversold, giving us a little bit more room towards the downside again. And right now we're utilizing that room towards the downside and once again heading back into oversold. So keep in mind, we're once again in oversold, which means maybe at some stage within the next day, within the next 1 to 2 days especially, we could start to see another slight little relief. But remember, that does not mean expect a massive bullish trend reversal. Do not expect any strength or bullish momentum right now. It's simply not there at all. Overall, we're very much looking bearish. It's just important to understand that the price doesn't necessarily move in a straight line towards the downside. It's very normal to see little breaks and reliefs along the way. So keep that in mind. If we start to see a little bit of a relief at some point in the next 1 or 2 days, do not be fooled, because that's not necessarily a bullish trend reversal. It's simply just resetting the RSI a little bit out of oversold, which could start to happen at some stage within the next couple of days. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, obviously, as I always say, Solana and a lot of major altcoins follow very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So with Bitcoin continuing this short-term dump, of course, Solana is following the same with another dump here in the shorter term, on top of obviously the previous pullback. And in fact, right now the price of Solana, just like Ethereum breaking below this key line of support here, Solana is also breaking below a key line of support based on this retracement level, which was sitting at around 124 to 125. And over the last half a week or so, it did perfectly act as support. We did see a pretty much perfect bounce from that exact level. But now that we're breaking below 124 to 125, I'd now expect resistance at that level. So if we start to see any sort of bounce or relief, once again, expect a lot of resistance, a lot of struggle or possible rejections from around 124 to 125. And of course, massive resistance all the way back up here in between 143 to 147, as I did actually warn about here on the channel before we perfectly rejected from that area. But as for support to watch out for, now that we're continuing the break towards the downside, we're potentially running into a point of support here based on this previous low sitting at around 117 approximately. So give or take $117, maybe around 116. Expect some support around there on the price chart. But if we continue the break below this previous low, in that situation, it's quite possible we could drop all the way down towards around $100 as a psychological level of support, which is also based on this previous low all the way back here around April last year. But once again, overall, if Bitcoin is looking very weak in the short term, as it is very much doing right now, showing a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, and playing out history, obviously pointing towards potentially much more bearish price action in the coming weeks or months, like I always say, expect something similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing for a lot of the altcoin market, which means obviously that's not good news for Solana and other altcoins. And if we're taking a look at XRP here on the weekly XRP price chart, right now, as of recording this video, the price of XRP is running into really the final significant level of support before potentially much lower prices. I'm talking about potentially another multi-month crash coming in the price of XRP, which, by the way, I warned about this multi-month bearish crash right here before it happened, all the way back around end of July, early August, at almost all-time highs when the price was well above $3. You can even watch my videos all the way back then. They're all still public, warning about this multi-month crash coming next. And right now, I am giving you the same warning. If we break below $1.80, expect another multi-month bearish crash to play out towards much lower targets. So don't say I didn't warn you. Obviously, I warned about all of this right here. Don't say I didn't warn you if we're trading at much lower price targets in a few months from now. Once again, if we first break below $1.80, I want to make that clear. We've not yet confirmed the break below that level. So it's possible that very soon we could possibly find a little bit of more support here at around $1.80. But if that level fails to hold the price this time around, expect basically much more bearish price action. And this is due to the fact that, of course, this has really been the massive support level for this entire range here. So if we break below that range, we're basically heading back into the previous range. And because we went very quickly towards the upside in this previous range right here on the price chart, that means the price can move very quickly towards the downside because we didn't really have a lot of traded volume in this area. So basically it's an empty area on the price chart where the price can move very quickly. And this time around, obviously we're heading in the bearish direction, not the bullish direction. So we could possibly move very quickly towards the downside, towards some of these much lower targets down here. And of course, we still have this massive bearish divergence playing out, still active on the weekly time frame for the price of XRP. And in terms of actual price targets, I'd watch out for, if we break below $1.80, the next possible point of support will be sitting at around $1.60, but very likely we could see a move down towards $1.30 to $1.40 as a significant area on the price chart. And below that area, if we actually break below $1.30, we could very possibly see a move down towards around 90 cents, just below $1 as a likely price target if we first break below $1.30 to $1.40, which would be a likely price target if we first break below around $1.80. And so obviously this is potentially a massive opportunity on the table here waiting to happen. Once again, not confirmed. I want to make it clear, not yet confirmed. We've not yet broken below $1.80, but I'm letting you know in advance if that happens. Personally, in my situation, not financial advice, I will be looking to potentially short XRP towards some of these lower price targets here, considering, of course, Bitcoin is showing a lot of weakness, and XRP, in my opinion, right now is looking a little bit more weak than Bitcoin, which means if Bitcoin continues a bit more weakness or bearish price action here, that will likely drag down XRP below this support right here towards these lower price targets, pointing towards obviously a potential opportunity to short and make profit along the way towards the downside. Once again, not financial advice. I'm just letting you know what I'm looking at doing myself. And remember, it's not yet confirmed. And if we're zooming into the daily XRP price chart, once again, right now, we're clearly running into this important support here at around $1.80, which is that final significant level of support. If that level fails to hold, obviously, expect those lower targets that I just mentioned earlier. The initial target easily could be $1.60 as a possible point of support there below $1.80. And as for resistance, if we see any little bounce again from this level, like what we saw last time, obviously it did look like we were getting very close to breaking below $1.80, but we did obviously hold it last time and did see a bit of a short-term relief moving forward. So keep in mind, we haven't yet broken below that level. So if, for example, we see another bounce from that level, in that situation, the next resistance would be sitting at around $1.93 to $1.95, and above that we have a major level of resistance at around $2.05. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, obviously Chainlink is also following Bitcoin and following these other altcoins with more bearish price action here in the short term, which is to be expected. Of course, a lot of these cryptos are highly correlated to each other, so especially if Bitcoin is showing a lot of weakness, don't expect a lot of strength for the altcoin market, is simply what that means. And right now, obviously, Chainlink is actually starting to break below these previous lows, which was important support for a few months here, and that was sitting at pretty much exactly $12. And so now that the price of Chainlink is breaking below that crucial level of support on the price chart, we're simply heading towards the next point of support, which would be likely sitting at around $10.90 to $11 based on this previous low all the way back around June 2025. Once again, that's the next possible point of support and next price target really at around $10.90 to $11. And as for resistance, now that we're starting to break below $12, especially if we confirm this daily candle close below $12, in that situation, we'll likely flip that into new resistance, which means if we see any little bounce again in the short term, obviously expect resistance, expect a lot of struggle or possible rejections from around give or take $12. But remember, don't make the mistake of thinking that bearish price action simply means that everything's over and there's no way to make money right now because things are just going down. In fact, it's quite the opposite. If we have a high degree of confidence that things might be looking more bearish, we can use that to our advantage to actually either just wait for lower prices to accumulate cheaper crypto assets if you're more of a long-term holder on the spot market, for example, or in the meantime, if you're more of a trader, of course, you can short these sort of moves towards the downside to profit along the way towards the downside. Not financial advice, but that's just examples of ways to make money, strategies to profit in the crypto market even when prices are bearish. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses and prices, etc., using those links below the video. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of that using those links to those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how you can take these sort of trades, know how you can trade any crypto in the price of any direction, so basically it doesn't matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.